talk about what's going on in Lewis County. So we've been successful already today. I'm Eric Berkler. I'm the Director of Economic Development for Lewis County. This is Brittany Davis, our marketing specialist. We have a great agenda today. We're going to try and move through it pretty quickly because we have a lot of people that we want to introduce you to. And it's all about, primarily all about agriculture today. And I was asking Julian when he walked in if he's already got plants in the ground. He'll tell you about that. So it's agriculture season and things are starting to roll. So we're excited to bring you ag producers, some different types of ag production in Lewis County today. And also want to, I think Brittany's going to give a couple thank you. I want to mention thank you to some of the people from Croghan. I think a number of our Croghan residents are here today. So we do try to move these around to different parts of the county. Always looking for new ideas. So if you have a place that you can take a breakfast, please let us know. And thank you for Croghan and the Fire Hall for having us today. Did I just steal one of your introductions? Brittany wants me to tell you about the rest of the people that are. You're going to tell them about Cedar Hedge? I think she wants me to tell you about the rest of the people that are going to be speaking today. We have Cedar Hedge Farms, and Brittany is going to tell you a little bit more about them. We have Tug Hill Roasters. The Gilberts, we have Silver Sap Maple with Cassie Buell. I don't know if Brian came with you today, Cassie?
No.
Okay. Grassroot Meats, Ben Faust, and Delaterra Farm, Julian Ugano. You're next.
All right. As our theme for today, Lewis County local foods. We obviously take a lot of pride in Lewis County agriculture, and we're always looking for ways to figure out how we can promote more diverse agriculture, value-added businesses. It's kind of the trend and the way things are going. So we kind of randomly picked 5 of our local producers, kind of hitting on the different types of foods here in Lewis County. And we're excited to hear from them. Cedar Hedge Farms, one of our sponsors, they provided all of the baked goods, the muffins, the English muffins, the jams, the goat cheese. So round of applause for them. Yes, Jan definitely did a lot of baking over the past week, so thank you guys for that. Our other sponsor for today is Tug Hill Roasters. They provided all of the coffee for us today, so thank you for that. And I'm going to have Eric go through some of our economic development updates. And you probably not get that sheet.
So economic development updates, we try and every one of our breakfasts, we try and just tell you a little bit about what's going on in our world in Lewis County economic development. We've been talking for quite some time about 2 projects that really are keys for us for infrastructure development in Lewis County. One is a commerce park that we are working to develop on Route 26, just north of Lowville. We are continuing to move forward with that. It's a slow process. We're right now working through some zoning and environmental approvals through the town of Lowville. So we're continuing to work through that. We have not yet acquired the land. We're making sure we have all the ducks in the row before we do that. But still plugging away at that. That'll be about 35 acres of ready to develop land when we're able to put that in place. We also, I don't know if we've talked about this much, but it has been in the news. We've been looking at the Climax Manufacturing Building in Lowville to acquire that. I think from the Industrial Development Agency Board's perspective, that's just an asset that we want to make sure is kept in good condition. We don't want that building to fall into disrepair, and we thought it would make sense to acquire that, and we think there's great potential to use it to fill it up with possibly Lewis County small businesses or maybe some larger business that might use the entire facility. But we really can see that as kind of a space that multiple businesses could be located in. So we're working through some challenges to finalize the acquisition of that. None of these things happen easily, but we hope we'll be able to pull that together in the near future. So those are a couple of exciting things that we're trying to accomplish and to provide future opportunities for businesses to grow in Lewis County. We wanted to talk a little bit about consolidated funding applications. How many people here are familiar with the state's grant CFA process? Many of you, but not all. I think it's round 8 of the state's CFA process. Basically something that Governor Cuomo put in place when he came into office. So that what the state did was they took all of their funding programs, various agencies, they took all of their funding programs and they put them into one cycle, one application. So they call it the consolidated funding application. Generally those applications are due in July, late July. This year I think it's July 27th. The application is open today, so you can go online, look at all of the various programs, go start through the application. And again, with the various state programs, there are many opportunities, whether it's for a business that's trying to grow economic development programs, there are municipal programs, there are water and wastewater programs, parks, agriculture, marketing. There are a number of different programs that have some potential for state grants. We try and promote this on a regular basis to help a business, to help a community. So if there's a project that you might be thinking about, take some time and look at that information. You can find it and just look for New York State CFA, Consolidated Funding Application, or Regional Economic Development Councils, or give our office a call and we'll point you towards it. Again, it's a good process. I will, if somebody calls us, we'll kind of walk you through what it's all about. I will caution you, it's not easy. It's not like you're just going to get a grant. It's not that easy. And then when you do get approved for a grant, it's still a little challenging, but it can be worth it if you've got a good project. And again, we're very interested in helping. So if you might not have a project, but you know a business or a community that you live in, encourage them. I think it's very important to try and get good projects from Lewis County into this process. Keep going. Okay. Next on our agenda, we have a new member of our economic development team we wanted to introduce today. She's standing in the back, Cheyenne Styria. Cheyenne has joined us really for finance expertise, and we're happy to have her. I would say Vanessa Schultz was worked for the IDA for 13 years. Vanessa has kind of moved a little bit in her life, and she's got a new job in Utica, so we appreciate all of Vanessa's service to the IDA, and I'm excited that she's got a new career she's working on today. Cheyenne, again, finance background. She's worked in industry in the past, and we're excited to have her, and she's going to be a great member of our team. So get a chance to say hello to Cheyenne today if you can. Want to talk about small business loan? You got it, small business loan.
So through the Economic Development Office, we do have a revolving small business loan. This is a loan that obviously we're not a bank, so we're not trying to make money off of it. All the funds that go out to small businesses get paid back with interest. That money goes back into that loan fund and then gets loaned out to other economic development projects in the county. We do have some funds left in our fund, and we are looking for other grants to apply for more revolving loan funds in the future. So if you are in need of a small business loan, we usually lend up to $25,000. Definitely contact us and we can help you out with that. A couple things I want to highlight on your tables. We are hosting a Starting and Growing Your Business seminar next week. We are hosting with the Small Business Development Center. This is a good program for if you're just trying to figure out the nuts and bolts of your business. So we're going to have local attorneys, local accountants, us in SBDC walking you through all the basics on starting your business. So that this is our second year doing it. Last year was very well attended, and I know Bill Waite was in attendance, and he said that it was a really great seminar. So definitely attend, or if you know of anyone, send them our way. If you were at our breakfast last time in February, how many were at our February breakfast? Okay, so we talked a lot about leadership in Lewis County. The Lewis County Leadership Academy was highlighted at the breakfast, and I am a part of the Leadership Academy. A number of my classmates are here today. And the project that we picked for the Leadership Academy was to kind of revamp and enhance the future Leadership Academies. So this flyer right here kind of gives all of the updated information on the program for this next class, the class of 2019. So really, really, really great program to get to know Lewis County, meet new people, network. I know that our group in the academy, we're all kind of a close-knit little group now, definitely friends for a long time. And I encourage you to look into it. Send your employees. It's a really great program. If you have more questions, Kristen, the director of the chambers in the back, you can talk with her. Okay, so we're going to move on with our program now. Going back to Lewis County local foods. Like I had said, we have a lot of pride in our local food systems here in Lewis County. Again, trying to figure out ways to continue that diversification. We've come a long way, I think. We have winery, we have 2 breweries, we have goat farms, we have goat cheese, gelato, value-added maple products, honey, you name it, I think we have it here in Lewis County. And a lot of that ties into agritourism. That's another thing that we really want to push here in the county. Our tourists come in, we want them to visit our local farms and stores, buy our products, go home, and continue to buy them. So an initiative that we have been working with, we've been working on with Cornell Farmers Extension, Lindsay Pashaw, she's here today and will be talking with us. And the Chamber of Commerce is also a partner in this, is the Lewis County Cuisine Trail. So we applied for this, what was that, a year and a half ago, almost? A little over a year and a half. It has literally taken the state a year and a half to try to approve this trail, but it is this close to being approved. When we originally started the trail, we narrowed it down to 12 of our local businesses. Now, since then, we've had a lot of new food businesses pop up, so we're going to continue to add to that. But that's one initiative that we will be continuing to work on to promote our value-added producers here and tourism in Lewis County. So we'll definitely keep you all informed on that. So with that said, we're going to go with our first speaker, Jeff and Jan with Cedar Hedge Farms. Coming up.
Hi, good morning everyone. I'm Jeff Van Arsdale. My wife is Jan Berkler. We own Cedar Hedge Farms, which is over on the Olmsted Road between New Bremen and Beaches Bridge. It's Jan's the 3rd generation Berkler to be on this farm. It was a cow dairy for her dad up until about 2000 when the cows were sold and the barn sat empty for about 10 years. When we took over the farm in 2012, the hay fields are rented out, the gardens and the fruit trees we were using ourselves. The barn was sitting empty for 10 years. We decided something needed to be in the barn, and for our stage in life, goats seemed to be the right size. The first thing we started was, go back to the eggs. The first thing we started with was chickens and having our quote unquote free range chickens and eggs. Another crop we have is there's 12 blueberry bushes that Jan's mother or someone sometime in the distant past planted, and we've been lucky enough that they've been producing for us, and we've been making jam from our blueberries. We don't have enough to sell the blueberries retail, but we do make jam out of them. And then we have an apple tree that produces enough apples for us to make what we call apple pie jam, which has been very popular. Our apples aren't pretty because we don't treat them in any way, no chemicals. That's a part of our mission, is that we don't use any chemicals on our farm. We're not organically certified, but we don't do it, so they're not pretty apples, but they taste good. And then the jams and jellies that we've been selling at the market, to differentiate it a little bit, we have Jan likes to do some arts and crafts and does different holiday toppers for the holidays. Blueberry jam becomes blueberry jam for Halloween, and apple pie jam. I think that has its own name throughout the year. But she makes a holiday fruit and nut jam for Christmas time that then becomes pot of gold for St. Patrick's Day. And then this is the stand that we made for Lowellville Farmers Market, and we also go to Lyons Falls Farmers Market. I have a computer science background. Jan was an elementary school teacher. Retail sales is the hardest thing we've ever done in our life. Marketing and retail sales, I have a newfound respect for anyone that's a sales professional. These are our goats. They go on pasture as much as possible. Last year's wet weather was very challenging for them to be on pasture, but they go out across the road and they get to eat as much as possible on pasture. And everybody likes little pictures of baby goats. One of the things in becoming a licensed creamery and making chèvre and feta cheese, I would get questioned, well, what's feta or what's chèvre? So I would go through an explanation of what they are. Feta is a traditional Greek or Mediterranean style of cheese and has a certain flavor to it, a certain tang to it in a traditional Mediterranean way. On Facebook, we were running a fabulous feta photo contest in order to get people ideas of how you can use it. And some of our photo credits go to Dr. Jennifer Nightingale, who's one of is our vet and is also lived in Greece for a year, I think, and she really thinks our feta tastes like what she remembers it being in Greece. And then we call this our Northern New York Greek salad because it features Croghan bologna along with pickled red beet eggs. And then another example is simply taking bricks of feta, putting either pesto or basil or walnuts with olive oil, baking it, and it becomes a lovely appetizer. You all got to have some or see some of the baked goods that Jan makes in our home certified kitchen. We have Greek olive loaf, rosemary feta, and also the English muffin bread. These have all been very popular at the markets for us. And it goes really well with the chèvre cheese, and I hope everyone enjoyed it. And this is the rosemary feta, which comes out good. The other thing that we just got licensed to sell this year is cheesecake. And one of the things we were doing was featuring our chèvre cheese in cheesecake cupcakes at the market. And this year we'll be able to sell them also. Last year we were just giving them away as samples of what you can do with chèvre. Now we'll make it and sell it. And then the other product we make is caramel drizzle, which is caramelized goat milk with sugar, and it turns into like a caramel sauce. But it has, again, a little bit of a tang, more of an adult flavor to it. Last January, I think it was, in order to support the Watertown Ice Skating Club's fundraiser, we worked with Brittany to put together what we called a Naturally Lewis gift basket with some of the other producers. And we had us, Silver Sap Maple, Mosier's Maple, Tug Hill Roasters, and then Laura LaPlatney's Alpine Haven Farm, where they make goat soap up in Harrisville. We put together a gift basket of naturally Lewis products and had it as one of the auction items at the Watertown Skate Club. And we also took a part of the farmhouse and made a store at it, and where we have the cheese available for sale. And then the last picture is what it's all about for us. Thank you.
Jeff, how many goats do you have?
Right now, we have 10 milkers and 19 kids.
And intending to grow, or are you going to try and stay small?
No, we want to stay at the size we are right now and establish a market without. One of our things is that we work, we're debt intolerant, so we're only going as fast as we can.
Goats and goat milk are definitely becoming an alternative dairy product in Lewis County. Jeff mentioned a couple of others. I don't know, there's maybe 4 or 5 at least. Michelle, does that sound right, Melissa? 4 or 5 goat farmers today, and I think the potential for that to grow. Blake and Andy Place, Hidden Valley Pastures, is that correct? Just had a product launch, their goat gelato on Saturday, and they have 300 or so goats. So they multiply. Next up are Gilbert's with Tughill Carson Roasters. And pull out the cheat sheet.
I don't have any visuals, so I'm sorry about that. I'm going to try to run through this. So the company is Tughill Artisan Roasters. We started operations last April, so we've been in business now for about 13 months. First of all, I want to clarify it's a roastery. We roast green coffee beans, so we're the ones that make them brown and the stuff that you can grind up and drink. We obviously don't grow coffee because it's a tropical fruit. And we're also not a cafe. So in the value supply chain, that's the spot that we occupy. Just really quickly, we roast specialty coffee, which is different from premium or gourmet coffee, because premium and gourmet coffee, they're both marketing terms, and which, take it as you will. But specialty coffee is actually a quantitatable, whatever measurement. So what happens is there's baristas and there's roasters. There's a Specialty Coffee Association of America, and roasters and baristas get together, and they basically, on a scale, there's I think 7 different criteria when they're tasting the coffee, and they say they give a number to it, and if the overall score is over 80, that coffee is considered to be specialty coffee. So all of our coffee that we purchase in Green Bean is of specialty grade. Now, obviously, we can totally botch a roast. It's not as good, but it is specialty grade coffee, at least to begin with. What is coffee? Coffee, so we roast coffee, right? And we're obviously adding value to the coffee itself. And I also like to think that we're also adding an intangible value to the coffee, because coffee is such a social drink. You get together and you're drinking it, so there's the obvious value-added process of being able to sell the coffee for more than it was when you bought it green. But then what people are really buying is whether it be a boost in the morning or something that they just enjoy with a friend, or maybe they have a cupcake or a muffin or something that they want to share it with. So there's that as well. Just really quickly, like I said, we started last year in April. In our first year of operations, we had about $50,000 worth of sales, so I was pretty happy with that. We are continuing to grow, and we're hoping to hit about $100,000 this year in sales. We are growing. We have a packaging machine. Hopefully, my wife Vanessa and I are going to head down to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and pick it up. So hopefully, I still need to call the seller. But, so we're excited about that. That'll help things move more quickly in the packaging stage. And then also we are going to be acquiring a larger roaster. And I saw pictures of it when it was at the factory in China, somewhere on a barge right now, and it's supposed to be arriving towards the end of this month. At least in the United States. Then maybe by first week in June, we'll have a second roaster hooked up. Which, by the way, I want to mention, the reason we're actually doing that is not because we're maxed out for capacity. We really only roast right now about 10, 15 hours a week. But a lot of the restaurants and stores that we've been working with, they are concerned that, because we keep our coffee really fresh, all right? And these stores and restaurants are concerned that if we have a breakdown, it's going to take us time to get parts to get our roaster back up again. So more than anything, this is a risk management step, but it's really good because it is going to help us to really increase our production as well. So our points of sale, what do we do? How do we actually sell this stuff? First of all, we have a couple corporate clients. It's not really a huge section of what we do yet, but a couple businesses in the area actually buy our coffee for their staff. Roast it or brew it right up in like the break rooms or whatever. We work with a bunch of stores. Don't need to go into a list. There's actually quite a few. If you haven't seen our coffee yet on the shelf, it's a black bag. Really simple labeling. Says Hucknallers and Roasters. You'll see our logo all over the place on the bags. We are beginning to work with a handful of restaurants, and that picks up especially in the summertime when the Thousand Islands region really kind of kicks into full gear. We are working actually with Julian and Alice on CSA options for this summer, so that's kind of exciting. I'm sure Julian will share more about that when he presents. And we do online sales, which are really small comparatively, and we do farmers markets and other events. So we're in Watertown Farmers Market. We're going to be in Syracuse at Central New York Regional Market. In fact, we just had our first one last Saturday. We'll also be at Sylvan Beach down in the Rhone area when they kick in. I believe that's in mid-June. So we'll be really busy with all those going through September. And then on Saturdays, we usually double up with a second event because some weekends in the summer is so jam-packed with events. So we'll be doing a lot of that. We do deliveries, okay? So for corporate clients, for restaurants, for stores, we do deliveries. And on top of that, we do a lot of quality control. We have a 2-month lifespan, whatever, for our coffee. And our coffee is good for a lot longer than that. But we work really, really hard to maintain a high level of quality. Because freshness is really key. Like if you're pouring water in a pour over and it's not blooming for you, that coffee is stale. So we don't want that to happen with our coffee. So we follow through and we try to get that taken care of. The other thing that we're starting to do is actually doing coffee consulting and profile development, which might sound kind of crazy, but there's demand for this. So, for example, we've actually been contacted by a pretty nice resort up in the Adirondacks, and they've said that they want us to come up with a signature blend for their resort. So we're now working with them one-on-one, and we're trying to come up with something that is going to be, unique for that particular resort. We do not buy and maintain brewing equipment. So that's a little bit of I just want to put that out there, if your business would consider working with ours for supply of coffee. What that means is we're not gonna buy you a Bunn brewing machine and then come out and maintain it and have a breakdown. We don't do that. Maybe someday we could partner with a third party and hire them to be able to do that kind of stuff, but we're just not at that stage yet. That being said, what a lot of cafes are doing is they want to brew our coffee and they want us to supply AeroPresses, or AeroPresses, you know what I'm talking about? Not the really small ones, the big ones that you pump. And we're fine with that. So we'll go ahead and buy some of those if you're going to serve our coffee. Okay. Yeah, as far as marketing and sales and all that kind of stuff, it's a lot of cold calls. And Vanessa, she does most of that, and it's amazing. She comes to me crying every night. It's like, it's going to be okay. Don't take the rejection personally. It's not you. So if you're into sales, you know what that's like. We believe there's a huge unmet market for specialty grade coffee in the North Country. You know, Jefferson, Lewis, St. Lawrence counties, south of here as well. And I just want to throw this one statistic out because I thought it was absolutely fascinating. There was I hope I'm getting the numbers right, but there was an article in the Northern New York Business, I think last year or so, and they were saying that there's, I want to say 7,000 seasonal residents that come up to the North Country. They have houses on the Thousand Islands, on Lake Ontario, on the coast. 80% of them have waterfront property. The average income of these individuals, average income, is $100,000. Most of them are of retirement age or, you know, already in retirement. And like, they expect these kinds of services. They expect high quality food products, things that they're used to. They're coming from more urban areas. And, you know, I shop at Aldi's. I'm fine with it. But like, that's not what these people want. So we want to provide them with these services. That's what we're about, and I think that's what a lot of people that are doing these really specialty products are about here. And I'm just really excited about it. I'm excited to be a part of it. So thank you very much.
Scott, how did you get to this? Roasting coffee?
Yeah, I actually mentioned the whole team. I apologize. It's not just me and my wife. Don't get that idea. Greg Woodrick is a big part of it. He does a lot of our scouting out of finding good beans from the importing companies. And then there's also my brother, Ian. He's not here today because his wife they just had a baby yesterday, so they're kind of busy. But yeah, so my brother and I, to answer your question, my brother and I, we were together a couple of years ago, and we were like, hey, we both like coffee, and I just returned to the area, and that's why I just moved back to the area from Wyoming. And we didn't really have much going on, like career-wise or anything, so we were like, well, why not? Let's give it a shot. But we were like, we don't know anything about coffee. So then Greg came into the picture, and all three of us just started working together. It's been good.
Cool. Thank you. Jeff and Jane, you guys returned to the area from somewhere, right?
New Jersey.
So two themes here: people coming back to Lewis County, and no offense to Jeff and Jane. I think most of the people you're going to hear from are the younger generation. Doing something in an alternative agriculture, that's really good stuff. So cool. Next up is Cassie Buell with Silver Stephanie.
I am from Lewis County. I actually grew up right across that fence, so I'm close to home, but I didn't leave. Just to show up kids who grew up around the maple industry, who helped their generations. So a lot of people are familiar with it, right? So we're just a couple kids that just kept the ball rolling, essentially. We bought land in 2015, which is Kate, because Kate helped us with that. And we started tapping trees in 2016, and it's just evolved from there because my husband got bit by the maple bug and just has kept going and going and going. I looked at this more as a hobby for my girls. It's something to teach them work ethics and whatnot, and a way for me to stay fit in the winter because I had cabin fever, and it was a way for me to go out and collect sap and buckets and feet of snow in our area. So like I said, we grew up in the maple business. For my husband, it became an obsession. For me, it was kind of like an extra exercise in the middle of February. The first year in 2016, we tapped 270 of our trees, which we yielded a whopping 38 gallons from. So being a numbers person, I wasn't really okay with this being such an expensive hobby. In 2017, my husband, surprisingly, not to my knowledge, increased our taps to 700. And we produced 78 gallons. And in 2018, this past season, again, surprisingly, he increased that to 930 taps. But we did go to tubing and vacuum pump systems, so it did certainly help cut the time down. And this year we produced roughly 300 gallons of maple syrup. In previous years, we started off selling, like most maple businesses in Lewis County, to family and friends. My mother and father own a business where they rent camps throughout the county, throughout Herkimer County. So I thought, well, what's better than people coming in than having them take back a souvenir of sorts. So we started selling at his rental cabins, which we could sell out every year. So the couple of years that we were doing it, we thought, wow, we're doing pretty good, right? And then I caught the business part bug, and so that didn't help matters with my husband. He's like, wow, she has the bug, but I'm just going to keep rolling. I'm looking at dollars, and I'm like, oh, this is still a really expensive hobby. So this year I decided to kind of venture out. I started working on the branding, which we worked with a company on Etsy actually to come up with a logo, and they did a great job for us. It's something that we wanted to differentiate from a lot of the maple businesses locally, because we wanted to sell to a lot of the city residents, and we wanted to expand on the internet. So we thought we wanted something that was really eye-catching and kind of a witty name, and the name comes from Sweet Sap Silver Maples. They have a higher sugar content than most sugar maples, and according to my husband, there's a lot of numbers in the back. It essentially, there's less boiling time for more syrup, and I like that from an operational perspective. And for the future, this year in January, we started selling on Etsy. I was talking to another one of the producers, and Etsy is you think it's going to be so easy like eBay, but it's really not. It's really hard. Once you get that first buyer, though, you're in the market. So we actually just got our first call a couple days ago to sell to a wedding for May 20th in Rochester for 140 half pints. I'm like, oh God, I'm 37 weeks pregnant. How am I going to get these bottled in time for a wedding? So those are the kind of obstacles we're facing right now. We did launch our Facebook page, so you can check us out on both Etsy and Facebook. Again, working on the branding. And we want to focus more on value added. We do like working with weddings. I feel like that's where a lot of the money is with maple syrup. It's one of those things where it's a higher end product, and we put them in nice glasses, and they're really attractive. In the future, we're looking for partnerships. I've reached out to Skewed Brewing, and they're going to work with us on coming up with a maple infused beer. So I'm hoping that works through. We would love to work with any of the producers on coming up with any infused maple products. Like I said, we're looking for value added. When I say value added, it's not something we want to go to sugar cakes and things that the market's already tapped. We don't really want to compete with other local maple producers. We want to go outside, think outside of the bottle, as our business cards say, and try to do something a little bit different. For the future, we're, of course, according to my husband, looking to add taps next year. He is convinced that we need a reverse osmosis machine, which in the maple industry is considered an RO machine, which basically cuts the time in half to boil the syrup at 75%, which works for me because then he's inside by 8 o'clock instead of 1 a.m. And of course, there's constant technology in this industry, whether we like to face it or not. Luckily, my husband embraces that, and I don't embrace the cost of it, but I know it's a necessary evil to get us to where we want to be, which apparently is 5,000 taps in 10 years. That's according to my husband. This year we are expanding our sugar shanty. We actually built it last year. I'm not really sure why he didn't build it big enough, but he sees that there's got to be room for an RO machine. That's all he's got one thing on his mind. So we are expanding the sugar shanty to keep ahead of regulations. We need to add running water. He wants to add a toilet out there and a sales area and the RO machine. And just to recap, because I know we're running out of time, we are really excited for the future in doing innovative things in the maple industry. If you have a product that you're looking to expand on, and you think maple is one of those things, definitely contact us. We're open to new innovative ideas and new innovative ideas on how to market our maple syrup. So our first test was going to be kind of like a lucky chair. So I put a business card under somebody's chair to give away a quart of syrup. However, I think that chair is empty. So like 1 out of the 5 chairs are empty. So if Arlie wants to turn around, it might be that chair. If Arlie wants to turn around and grab that, he can get a free quart of maple syrup.
Was it you?
Yeah, I think it's behind Arlie. Unless somebody shifted chairs around. I was being really sneaky about it. Before I sit down,
There it is. Oh, check right here.
it's really hard
office or the partner agency for economic development. So we connect with her a lot from that perspective. Grow slow, and so keep Brian in control. Next up is Grassroots Meets, Ben Faust.
I don't have any good words either, but I appreciate the opportunity of being here. I'm Benjamin Faust, and my wife Stephanie Hauser also owns a business with me. And she said this morning, she said, "What did you brew?" I said, "The coffee you bought yesterday." And that's what it was. So we enjoy the coffee. Thank you for bringing that to the area. I'm originally from Montana. I'm not from this area, which can be helpful. So I had no idea that the syrup I was eating on my pancakes was not real. I had no idea about the sap industry and what a sugar shandy was and any of that. I was just blown away at that whole culture. So thanks for giving me real syrup. We've had the business since 2002. Me and my wife both worked for a nonprofit called Heifer International outside Little Rock, Arkansas. We both worked there for 5 years. I was a volunteer, she was a volunteer. I worked in their livestock department. In 2002, they came out with a program called Small Farmers Initiative. And we both loved animals, livestock, sustainability. So we went and traveled to the Little Rock Farmers Market and said, what can we bring to the area? And so no one was doing pork or poultry. So we decided, okay, let's do pork and poultry. Well, in order to get the money, we had to fill out a business grant and all that stuff, and it got rejected twice. So finally, by the third time we did the Small Farmers Initiative, Heifer Project accepted us as a project, which is great, but we had to pay the money back. So we worked hard and we did some marketing, and we went to Little Rock had a great food market and local food market, and we weren't really encroaching on anything. So we built a small poultry processing facility, and it was all made out of block, and we processed about 200 birds every 2 weeks. And we were able to sell those through contracts with grocery stores. We were able to do health food stores. The Little Rock Farmers Market had an inside and outside market. We sold there, and then we had on-farm sales for pork and poultry. We were all poultry is one of those you can be exempt from as long as you stay under a certain amount of birds produced. So in Arkansas, we stayed under that. Our pork was always USDA inspected. But just like here, one of the things we ran into was always trying to find a good USDA inspector. So I'm very grateful for Jordan Brandt and his USDA inspection, because we utilize Jordan, and I utilize his son, Seth, processing poultry. So, so then we moved up here. Steph wanted to be close to family, so we decided to move closer to her family in this area. We didn't know what we were going to do, so we both realized really quick that we better get some jobs, because the food market wasn't what it was where we were at. So we both got jobs. She still works for public health 3 days a week. And so we decided, well, let's slowly grow Grassroots Meats. And so we did it very slowly, like I had heard from you, friends and family. We started, I was a line chef for almost 3 years growing up, so I love cooking food, and I love good food, good coffee. If I do the shopping, you can do it. So we made a cookbook, and we started passing out to friends and family, and we said, you know, if you do finished beef, or you do this or this is how you should thaw your meat, this is how you should cook it, this is how you should prepare it, these are recipes that we tried. And so we slowly started establishing a market, and we realized in this area, again, there wasn't a lot of people doing pork or poultry. We had some people that wanted us to do beef, and we did it just for them, just a couple, but we mostly focused on pork and poultry. So I had, once a few people contacted me and said, I heard that you process poultry. I said, yeah, we built all our own equipment. It's automated. We can do about 50 birds an hour. And I realized last year that my kids helped me. We're old enough to help. That when any help that helps us process, we buy donuts for breakfast and pizza for lunch. I tried chicken once, don't do that. They were a little grossed out. That was a bad mistake. Pizza it is. And when my kids didn't want donuts for breakfast or pizza for lunch, I said, maybe we butchered, processed a few too many burgers. So that's when I said, okay, we're going to slow down processing for other people a little more and do a little more of our own poultry processing. I'd get people that would call us for 5, 10, 15 birds. I'd gather 5 or 6 people together. We'd set up a processing date and process poultry. And we would, this year we changed that. We did a minimum of 50 birds if you want to process with us, poultry-wise. This will be the first year, hopefully, we'll go to the Loudville Farmers Market and the Boonville Farmers Market. It'll be, the kids are old enough now, the market is established enough, and I think it'll just be fun for us. So we've thought about going 5A processing with our poultry. It's hard, there's a lot of logistics. I'm not sure if I want to go that route or not, but we process with me and my kids and one college help when you can find good help. 50 birds an hour is what we can process, so start to finish. Last year we tried something new. We tried deboning the breast, doing drumsticks and wings because Jordan had sold me 2 bandsaws that he had to upgrade. So we started doing that. So I had a select group of customers. I said, would you like boneless breast? And then they tried it. They said, yeah, that's great. I said, what about bags of wings or bags of drums? Because we had talked about earlier, somebody had said about specialty markets or upselling. So I figured, we get $12 a bird when it's whole from our poultry. If it's quartered or half, we get a little bit more. But if I can sell the wings, the drums, the breast, I can get a little, I can stretch that, get a little more profit from that, and provide you something instead of cooking a whole chicken. Because some people are like, what am I going to do with a whole chicken? There's only 2 of us. That's going to last us weeks. But if I can sell you 2 breasts in the bag, that makes it a lot easier. So, we had a lot of customers who will be doing that again this year, and primarily focusing on pork and poultry. And so, it's been a good business for us. All our pigs are free range. We get them from Stephen Winkler over in Rodman. His pigs don't have clipped teeth, they don't have clipped tails, and so we like that. And then we do raise the standard Cornish crosses. We are experimenting this year with some Freedom Rangers, but we kind of stuck with the Cornish over the years because one thing I found is people like consistency, and so I've stuck with that. But we're gonna move out of my comfort zone a little bit this year and maybe try a different variety. But I'm just glad to be here. We're glad to be in the community. We do sell a few other products here and there when they're in season, when we have them. Part of having a farm is we realize that other animals are important to that ecosystem, and so having a few more animals kind of helps with some of the pest control and bug control of the farm and stuff like that. I try not to overwinter stuff. I did that one year. I don't like shoveling all that in spring. All I have is a pitchfork and a wheelbarrow, so I don't want to clean out the pens if I don't have to. But we're up on Rector Road, outside of West Martinsburg. If you go up the Rector Road, you'll see a huge solar system on the right, and that's our place, kind of a blue house. We got over 10 acres there, and then we utilize some of my father-in-law's land. He lives townhouse, or he lives on the west road there, and we use some of his land also. So, but I'm glad to be here, glad to be a part of this. I love local culture, community, and produce. So thank you.
I think Ben told me he works like 4 jobs. He also works at Craft, and he just mentioned solar. Is it Greenbolt, Ben?
Greenbolt.
So if you're looking for a small local solar business, Greenbolt Solutions. Good stuff. Next up is Julian with Delaterra Farms. He gets his computer fired up.
Let's see if it does.
I might add a couple of other notes, and I think I missed a sponsor earlier, and being their name is Verkler, I don't want to do that BS. Morris and Jim are here from VS Verkler. Thank you very much. For our sponsorships, we're always looking for sponsors to help us put these events on. We generally do like a 2 breakfast sponsorship. Doesn't have to be that way, but so VS Verkler, this is their second event. We appreciate that support for sure. And I think the other thing I wanted to mention, we were talking about our business park earlier. We are always looking for other locations. If you have some idea of some place in Lewis County that's got some water and some wastewater to it, that's an important thing, let us know. Always looking for some ideas for things we can do to help grow the economy.
Yes, sorry. So I'm Julian Magano. I'm up here with my lovely lady Alice Wade. And we have started De La Terra, which is a small organic market garden that seeks to combine the arts, holistic health, and nature to enhance creativity, self-awareness, and agricultural skills. So basically, there's different phases to how we began this process, and I'll start getting into it. The different phases will be rolling out subsequently over the years. So about me, I'm originally from Painesville, Ohio. It's a small town, probably 5,000 people smaller than Watertown. Not as small as Howell, but we'll get to that. So I graduated from college in 2010 with a bachelor's in psychology. Before relocating to the North Country, I lived in New York City for 6 years. That's where I met my lovely lady. I lived in 3 of the 5 boroughs. And my favorite was the Bronx because it had the most like plant life, parks, everything. Like it was just awesome. I worked as an assistant project manager, and that was pretty fun. I kind of stepped away from a pretty good paying job. Right now, along with the farm, I'm working on starting an aerial photography and videography company by the name of Fly Vision. So if you get my information and you want some, high-end footage for that, you can contact me. So why a farm? For me, my whole mindset was, I love nature. I love, thinking about holistic health and meditating and just being like one with my world. And thinking about like a conventional career path, it didn't always like sit right with me. I don't know. It's just different. So I always wanted a self-sustainable, autonomous lifestyle, but I never knew how that would come to be. And maybe that's not going to happen now with this. But desire to be immersed in nature, desire to build a self-sustainable and autonomous lifestyle, and desire to promote holistic health and wellness for individuals' well-being. So the Lewis County thing. Being in New York City for 6 years, you walk down Times Square or Fifth Avenue or different parts of the city, and there's police officers with M16s, and you always feel like there's a threat. You have 8.6 million people. It's just a lot. So me coming up here, I'm like, there's more cows than people. That works out well for me. So this was the land when we first bought it. I had no thought process about doing any type of small-scale farming with this land. We bought the land in 2015. There were remnants of old farm equipment. This is like a little fire pit I built when we first got out there. But after we got the land, it's 5 acres. I looked up what can you do with 5 acres of land. I came across Jean-Martin Fortier, which is a farmer up in Saint Armand, Quebec. He wrote this book called The Market Gardener, and he kind of like compelled this small farm movement across like the nation, and obviously parts of Canada. So him and his wife farm on 1.5 acres, and for over 10 years they've consistently grossed $150,000 a year. So they're they're outside Montreal, about 45, 50 minutes, so the market base is a little different being up here, but I'm not looking to make like 6-figure salary up here. I don't really need it. But we are farming.
Where's your land? Where is the farm?
The farm's in Casterland on 3rd Road. You asked me? I don't know what the slides are. So basically, we're utilizing this biointensive gardening technique, which, All right, so the goals of Daily Terror, obviously we want to produce organic fruits and vegetables, promote consumption of local foods. That to me I think is like a big one, because you think about supply chains, you think about the things that could potentially happen. I think local food production is a mainstay, and it should be something that people focus on, not only for health, but just to re-examine the way local economies exist. Enhance individual creativity, health, and self-awareness. So the first phase of this process was to begin the agricultural element, but in the second and third phases, we want to bring in educational workshops for elementary school age students, middle school age students, and do some art workshops in plein air painting, maybe some of the paint and sip endeavors. And then I want to begin in the third phase to start like a rustic health retreat where people can practice meditation, yoga. I have a variety of individuals that can help with the yoga practice, and then I have massage therapists and Reiki practitioners, so that can all be a focus for people to have a holistic health element. And then reconnect humanity with nature. I mean, maybe in Lewis County there's not that hard of an issue with people being connected, but yet it's still, we're on our cell phones or in front of a TV or in front of a computer. I think as people we still need that natural element of life, and a lot of people reflect that. And then we want to do a hub for beginning farmers. So we're utilizing small growing techniques. Last year we did about 1/2 acre. We're going to increase to about 3/4 of an acre. The biointensive growing technique, we had like 27 beds, and I mean the yield that we got was pretty intense.
What do you mean with biointensive?
So you're spacing your produce like a lot closer than you would with conventional farming. So for tomatoes last year, we spaced them 9 inches apart. For cucumbers, we're doing 18 inches apart. Like for our cucumber, last year we only had 1 bed, and we're easily getting like 200, 250 cucumbers off that 1 bed. So basically the way that you're limiting weed pressure because everything's so close together, and then just management of the area. Like I do all this with hand tools. I don't use a tractor. We don't use a tractor for the carrot beds. We're hand weeding that because there's no way you're getting in there with a hoe. And then we're also using the square foot gardening technique. Basically, I'm testing this out. I think it could be expanded bigger. I'm just using a 10 foot by 12 foot Harbor Freight greenhouse. There are 48 different square foot cells on each side, so 96 total. It's about over 200 heads of lettuce, 800 plus baby carrots, and 384 baby beets that are in that greenhouse right now, all sprouting up. 120 square feet. I mean, it's crazy. And then I'll put it together. So we're doing a 20-member community supported agriculture CSA share this year. We actually have a number of people handling. Cheyenne's a part of it. I know we have a couple other people Eric's wife Heidi, she joined it. So there's a lot of people that have been interested, but we want to limit it this year because we want to ensure the best quality for the individuals who signed up. We don't want to just say, here, let's do 100 members and then have some unhappy customers. And then we're participating in the local farmers markets. We're definitely going to be going to Watertown. That's like the biggest market, but then we're going to figure out the logistics with Carthage, Clayton, Loudville. So what is community supported agriculture? Members sign up prior to the season, providing payment in full. We're doing $300 for 2 to 3 individuals for 15 to 20 weeks. $25 for each extra individual, and then it's basically going to be like 2 to 3 pounds per food per individual based on availability. I mean, we want to make sure there's a lot of variety in this. We have like 73 different plants that we're going to be putting in the ground this year. So basically, we're just learning as we go, and every time like I expose myself to novel information, that's what a lot of other farmers do. But if you want more information, we'll be at the farmers markets, and I think we're going to try to do a pay-as-you-go CSA so people can show up and just grab a bag of produce, because there was a decent number of individuals that couldn't do upfront costs. But that's my little overview. If you guys ever have any questions or want to come visit the farm, it's out on 3rd Road. You can just stop by.
All of these producers, I think, have some information, maybe a business card back on the table, so take something when you go. Local support, local sales, as you've heard them all say, I think Lindsay's going to talk about sales, but it's really important. I walked in the Lavo Farmers Market one Saturday last summer, and Julian had a distinctive stand, and it's like, wow, this is different. So that was my first introduction, and you're really doing something interesting and unique in Lewis County, so thank you for doing that. We're a little behind our normal schedule today. We'd like to get you out of here and get you going for the day, but this has been interesting stuff, and Lindsay's going to talk for like 30 seconds.
And I like to go really fast, so.
Take Lindsay is Cornell Cooperative Extension
Yeah.
in Harvest, New York, and our agency's all drawn on Lindsay's knowledge, so she's going to tell us a little about it.
So my name is Lindsay Pagano. I'm from Cornell Cooperative Extension's Harvest New York team. I work very closely with the Cornell Cooperative Extension Lewis County office, so with Michelle Ledoux, Melissa Spence, and Barbara. What's your last name?
Yeah.
Okay. So I work very closely with this office. So if you ever need to get in touch with me, I'm doing my contact information, but you can also, the prime contact is our extension office. So we have every single county almost across the state has a CCE county office, and then we have regional teams. So I'm on the regional team, and I'm going to kind of explain our team. So I cover Clinton, Essex, Franklin, St. Lawrence, Jefferson, Lewis County. So for me to come out here, it's a 3-hour trip, and I love Lewis County and coming and drive out here, so I'll come out to your area anytime. So meet with producers, for anybody interested in that agriculture. So the team I'm part of it's a unique team. We're state funded. So basically Harvest New York is an innovative Cornell Cooperative Extension team that works in workforce development and business expansion projects to increase profitability investment in key sectors of New York State agriculture and industry. So I'll get a little bit more into what we do for projects. So there's myself, Lindsay Pagano, who works across northern New York. I primarily work with farmers that do vegetables through maple, flowers such as lavender, cut flowers, pretty much everything but livestock processing and dairy processing. We're in the processing of hiring 2 new specialists in northern New York for livestock processing and dairy processing. There is a dairy processing position. I believe they're in the process of hiring that individual, but the livestock processing person is open, so if you know of anybody who lives in northern New York or anywhere in the country, outside the country, that's interested in the position, the job description is on CCE's website. So I have counterparts in Western New York. I have my team leader, Judson Reed, Cheryl Thayer, who pretty much does exactly what I do for a position in Western New York. She works
a lot with farm to school initiatives. Tim Terry, he does farm strategic planning, and that's as if like you have a big dairy farm who's looking to expand. He will go out to the dairy farm, basically survey the whole property and make that determination, like where the next barn needs to be, the next expansion on a manure pit, so that the farm can just work very fluently. And, oops, sorry. I have Anika Zuber, she used to be a dairy processing specialist. I've got Miss Carl. He's no longer with us to do that. And then I also have counterparts in New York City, Yolanda and Sam. They work with farmers doing like a lot of rooftop farming, marketing, and public policy down there. So our dairy processing specialist that was based up here worked very closely with the craft plant, doing different safety programs. So food safety planning courses, HACCP, which is hazardous analysis critical control points. Working with the Food Safety Modernization Act, providing very small trainings for food safety, because we can see in the news all the time, food safety is a big key out there. And working with a lot of BOSI plannings and going and teaching kids like how to make cheese, ice cream, butter, and then working with a very small artisan producers such as the Cedar Heritages, any of those like the smaller producers should we work with. So large processing plants, so very small, and basically more around the food safety side. Our livestock processing specialist works, the new one will be working more with food safety capacity, doing also meat processing workshops, the same thing with food safety hazardous analysis control point courses, and working with the Food Safety Modernization Act. And then with my position, I work a lot with local food distribution and marketing. So if you're a farmer and you're looking to find additional markets, across northern New York, outside of northern New York, looking at Syracuse, New York City, we're working very closely with the CCE Lewis County office to find additional markets for the Lewis County products, and also across northern New York. And then I have a niche with a farm-based beverage. I actually own 13.25 acres of farmland in Essex County, and I own 2 acres of cold climate grapes. So that brought me into leading to help with the craft beverage industry. So people that are interested in starting wineries, breweries, cideries, or distilleries, finding additional markets, working with regulations, application process with the New York State Liquor Authority and the TTP and ag markets. And a lot of people definitely like craft beverages out there, I know, so. And some of the projects I'm kind of concentrating on is working on a project this summer of a craft beverage establishment expansion. So about 2 years ago when I started this position, there wasn't actually any type of numbers out there for people getting into the craft beverage industry, like, what do I need for equipment, what type of building do I need, the actual establishment cost behind it. And I was noticing that a lot of people that are interested in establishing craft beverage in a lot of northern New York are people that were retired. And my biggest concern was I didn't want someone to invest their retirement money and lose it. I want people to understand they're going to jump into the craft beverage industry knowing exactly what those costs are going to be and is there going to be a potential market down the road. So we're doing a project with the Cornell intern this summer on figuring out the actual establishment cost for hard cider, brewery, and distillery industry. We actually have numbers and tools out there, and an Excel spreadsheet for the wine industry if people are interested in that. We've done hard cider supply chain analysis across New York State to kind of make a determination of what people need to plant for apples down the road. Do we need more hard cider variety apples, and which variety apples are interested? And craft beverage licensing and regulations, and then some other food distribution and marketing stuff. Been doing a variety of different workshops across northern New York regarding like general marketing, digital marketing, collaborative marketing, any pretty marketing workshops that people were interested in taking. And then these are 2 pictures are of the produce auction that we've established up in Franklin County. So a produce auction is an auction where farmers can bring a product to an auction site, sell their products in lots at fair market prices. So what was happening is, as we all know, there's a lot of farm stands out there. And the Amish and Mennonite communities down in southern New York started establishing these produce auctions because it was hard for them for transportation and then also the pricing, with competing against their neighbors. So the idea of the auction site is you bring your product there, your products are sold in lots, and you're getting more of a fair market wholesale pricing. And if anybody's welcome to visit the produce auction, buy or sell products. And this produce auction is in Franklin County. It's called St. Lawrence Valley Produce Auction. There's a Facebook site right now. And it's every Tuesday, starting at 9 a.m. And I think there's about 8 rows of product. And we start at about 9 o'clock, and the product's all sold by 11, everything sells. So if you're interested in buying or selling product, please spread the word out there. And it's for anybody who's interested in buying products. Restaurants, different retail stores, if home buyers are interested, more than welcome. So, and then if you guys have any questions, or if you want to work with myself or CC Lewis County office, please feel free to reach out, and I'm happy to come to Lewis County or the farmers anytime.
Michelle and Melissa from our local Cornell Public Extension. You guys just stand up. Everybody probably knows them, but they are our agriculture connection. I would imagine they probably work with every single one of these businesses that are here today.
And I should introduce Barbara, who is our new farm business management educator. Mary has retired. And the only thing I'll say very quickly is the New York State Grown and Certified program is out, and it is available for almost all products, most of the basic products. And there will be funding that will be announced at the end of the month here that is available for anybody who wants to get that grown and certified certification. There is grant money that is really nice grant money because it's a 90-10, so you only have to come up with a 10% cash match. And then the other part of it, but it's like anything else in the state, you have to pay for it up front and they reimburse you, but it's to help you have that grown and certified. And so it's pretty straightforward. Some requirements, whether you're doing poultry, maple, vegetables, has some more requirements to go along with it, but all those different kinds of grown and certified things that are out there, and we can help you get that information.
Thanks, Michelle. Sure, can.
So as of yesterday, the local food bag is in the journals, and I will be handing that out on Friday. We'll be getting our 1,000 copies that I ordered, and I'll be very limited for this local food bag.
And Michelle said something that made me think again, with state programs, they make you put the money in there first, and then they'll reimburse you if you have a grant. Financing and funding that is a challenge. That's one of the places our office can come into play, so call us. Again, we work regularly with Cornell Public Extension. We'll do what we can to help you find those funds if it's needed. Cedar Hedge Farms has feta cheese.
Complimentary feta cheese for anyone who likes it. Pick it up on your way out. Make your own fabulous feta food. Post it on
James.
Well, and I spent 2 days making this stuff. I don't want to take it home with me.
There's muffins and bread, so please, on your way out, take some notes with you.
Grab something from the office.
Again, we know we're past our 9:30 time. A couple comments, questions, thoughts on what can we do to help to buy some of these local products and stimulate other ag products in Lewis County. Any ideas? Just a few minutes to take some couple ideas.
Make it a habit to think locally, not just a spur of the moment thing, but confidently say, what can I do to buy local? It's the most important behavioral change or support you can make.
Wherever the farmer's market is on Saturday, go to it. What else?
Or Tuesday afternoon.
What else?
Is there a list, say on the website, whoever's website, like where all these businesses are.
That's what Melissa, your local food guide, right?
Have a,
The local
so,
food guide.
And will that
Okay,
be
so that's
on
gonna
the
be-
web somewhere, Melissa?
Yes, it'll be on the CCD website.
Cornwall Park Extension website, and it'll be in the newspaper this week.
And besides the local food guide, there's a website called AdirondackHarvest.com that has an interactive map of any producers that sign up, and you can click on their farm, and they have a web page built in with address, and it's right on the map.
Other ideas? Kristen?
What if we just feature some of these little video clips on Naturally Lewis or some of those things, because people buy from people they relate to, right? So if there's some ways to sort of show those and flash.
Video clips?
Yeah.
Brittany just suggested buying a GoPro, so she'll take her GoPro. She'll go to the farmer's market. Good thought. One other thought and idea. What can we do to support this local agriculture? Buy local. All right. Going once, going twice. Again, support these businesses, support our local dairy industry. Very important also. That's the base of our economy, no doubt about it in Lewis County. Thank you again to our sponsors. Our next breakfast we were planning in September. Don't have the date and location yet, but pay attention to that. We hope to see you all again soon. Thank you very much and have a great day.